On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. We're going to start off with the brand new Q post that just came out. And it's kind of funny. I want to give myself and my brother a little credit. One, my brother brought this to my attention a few days ago, so it's kind of old from my standpoint. And then I finally decided to talk about it on my show yesterday, which right here you can see this published August 25th, right? And here's the picture, like 46 seconds into it. So I just talked about this yesterday. And then we see that Q posts today, 4627, finally got another post. He's been dark for like 6 days. So what he says, just to get right into it and to try to make the best of this, watching the DNC last night, I noticed their logo. Now, where have I seen that uneven star before? Hiding in plain sight, maybe? And that's what I was trying to point out in the video without calling it out. So I love the fact that there is a fun little image next to it here that can help you see what exactly I was talking about. And then, of course, Trump follows up with 2 Democrat caucus meetings removed under God from the Pledge of Allegiance. It sounded not only strange, but terrible. That's where they're coming from. Now, this was 6:11 a.m. What time did this post? Okay, 1:23 p.m. All right, so I was wondering if they were trying to do a little marker there, right? But whatever the case is, this is going to be a little more influence or ammo for them to ask Trump if he knows anything about Q, because this Q post certainly looks awfully similar to what he's talking about here. But of course, he could paint it in the other direction, saying, well, he's just copying what my tweet said, right? So they make these things work out beautifully. But as that said, one party discusses God, one party discusses darkness, one party promotes God, one party eliminates God. Symbolism will be their downfall. The great deceivers. Now, they were even talking recently, too, not to interrupt, but like Joe Biden and the option for him to bring light to the party. Well, that's Lucifer, right? So the great deceivers, that was supposedly the biggest miracle that the devil ever did, was to prove that there was no devil, or to try to make people believe there was no devil. So when was the last time you witnessed a D party leader being patriotic, exhibiting national pride or love of country? Seriously, when was the last time you can think of a Democrat that was expressing those things or holding an American flag or saying anything patriotic? I can't think of one. It's been a long time. When was the last time you witnessed a Democratic Party leader speaking out against the riots, the violence in the streets? When was the last time you heard anybody doing that? I'm not hearing anybody, right? Nobody. No Democrats are coming out and saying that the violence is not okay. It's insane, right? When was the last time you witnessed a Democratic Party leader support those who took an oath to protect and to defend? Seriously, when was the last time you heard anybody talk about that? They don't. Not from the left. And when was the last time you witnessed a Democratic Party leader support and call for unity across the nation? You know, the ones who keep saying that Trump is divisive, Trump is divisive, Trump is divisive is, one, the media, and two, the left. Now, the media obviously is divisive. They're the ones that are pushing all these stories and creating a lot of this divisiveness. But on top of that, the Democratic Party, in its very nature, in its very definition of what it is and how it defines itself, is divisive. They're the ones that have specifics for the Black culture, for Native Americans, for people that are south of the border, for your man, woman, for LGBTQ. They've got letters for everybody. That is division. I've got to divide you into your little category, and then I can give you a nickname. And then you should vote Democratic because I've got a nickname for you and I've got you in a category. I've got a special box for you. You're special to us. We got a special place for you. And Republicans are on the other side going, no, we just like everybody. No, everybody. No, come on over. We got hamburgers. We got hot dogs. We got some of them vegan ones too, in case you don't like meat. We got a special grill so they don't even have to touch the same stuff. We got you covered. Come on in. We're here for you. So again, Democrats don't seem to be that way. So all assets right now are deployed. Seriously, everything is out. Everything is in play. It's all about what's coming up for the election. Infiltration. That's what they've been trying to do. Destruction of America. Obviously, we've seen Wisconsin. The next night, I've got some stories following up here shortly to show you exactly what I'm talking about there. Some horrible stuff happened. Obviously, Seattle's still got a little activity, but something interesting happened there. I want to share that. And then Portland's still a mess. I think we're at day 90 right now. Day 90. And still, nobody's putting an end to it. Still, the governor won't call in the National Guard. So destruction of America, and look to see what cities Are they Democrat or are they Republican? And Wisconsin, you would think is sort of a Republican leading state, but when you look at the governor and the mayor, no, Democrat. So it's just, I don't know, coincidence, maybe, but have faith in humanity, and that's the one thing that's also going to kind of stand out in today's videos. Humanity is stepping up. Humanity is not taking this lying down. Humanity is not staying asleep. We are awakening. So have faith in yourself as well, because where we all go, one, we go strong. And that's what it means to be individually strong yourself. Where you go, we all go, right? And so be strong with where you're at. It's very important that we arm ourselves with as much information, that we arm ourselves with as much truth, and we try to arm ourselves with as much kindness as we can, because ultimately we're dealing with our fallen friends that have been asleep for a long time and don't realize how jacked things really are. We can't blame them. We can't. But it does suck. They're kind of in the way. I hear you. But in the end, folks, God wins. So that's all we got for Kuehl right now. Got the, again, tweet from President Trump. 2 Democrat caucus meetings removed under God from the Pledge of Allegiance. They even tried to come back and say, no, we didn't. But it's like, you can play it back. And yeah, you did. So come on now. And again, proof, I was talking about it. But yeah, interesting how you just take that symbol and spin it. And that's what they've always been saying about them. Q's been saying this forever, is their symbolism will be their downfall. One thing I want to talk about, and again, this is just one of the main key differences about how the way the left and the right tend to view the world. And it really, a land of opportunity. It's one of the things that the right is pushing right now, the Republicans. Land of opportunity. We got opportunity to grow and be better and V-shape and all this stuff. We're going to survive as a country. Really, in my opinion, a very unifying approach from the most divisive person, which again, doesn't make any sense. But a lot of stuff they talked about. Nick Sandmann was a big one. And again, I just think this is a huge representation of what's truly wrong with a lot of people, and certainly a lot of people on the left, is when this kid's face got shown with that Native American noisemaker guy, right? And he was doing his thing, which is very, very cool. Everybody assumed Nick was guilty. Everyone called him names. And this is one of the problems that's starting to come from this. We're going to show this here in a second, but it's disturbing how you can take a child that's in high school, and just because he's white and he's wearing this red MAGA cap, decide to smear him 6 ways from Sunday. Now, he's gotten some money, some apparently settlement money, I think, from CNN. So who knows how little or much it was. He's not allowed to talk about it, but he's got a bunch of lawsuits continuing on with others. So pretty bad stuff in the big picture. Oh yeah, here's the one I wanted to talk about. We'll get to that story in a second. But again, this is the thing. This CNN analyst, this was just recently too, 26. Yeah, this was today. The CNN political analyst Joe Lockhart criticized Nick Sandmann after the Covington Catholic graduates gave his speech during the Republican National Convention Tuesday night, calling him a snot-nosed, entitled kid from Kentucky. Joe Lockhart's Twitter: I'm watching tonight because it's important, but I don't have to watch this snot-nosed, entitled kid from Kentucky. Seriously, CNN, taking another stab? I wonder if that's even a problem with the contract that they signed for the settlement, being attacked yet again. But again, it just goes to show you this is who we're dealing with. This is irrationality. This is people that it's their way or the highway. Again, they're going to force their worlds on you. Are you ready to pay everything to tax? Are you ready to be told what you can and can't eat? Are you ready to be told that you aren't allowed to drive anymore, that you're not allowed to wear those types of clothes, that you're not allowed to go that far away from your house? Just pick up a paper and look at paper. How old am I? Pick up a news article and find out how bad China is about how it limits its population. And you'll start to get an understanding in the direction they're trying to take our country. Now, something that's funny, and I mean that so sarcastically, this is completely horrible. And this is one of the biggest points that I was just trying to make the other day to my girlfriend. So many people right now get very, very upset about the whole idea of slavery and all this, right? And then the Constitution, they passed the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery. But what they ultimately did was created another form of legal slavery, and that is prisoners. And so right now, there's a big concern that California has dealing with these wildfires, that I guess some law passed recently maybe that says they're not really allowed to use these criminals. Or I'm sorry, it's because of the COVID and because they've released all the prisoners. They don't have any free $1 an hour labor anymore. So they can't make prisoners do the work that they used to do. So now they actually have to pay like minimum wage or pay people absolute real money to do this physical labor to help stop the fires. California's even more screwed. One more way they screwed themselves over. And the point made here, and I think it's worth reading, but when Congress passed the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution in 1865, ending slavery, it left open a loophole. Involuntary servitude could continue as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. This effectively legalizes slavery among unimprisoned populations, allowing former slave owners in the South to implement a convict lease system, contracting prisoners out to private firms. Even abolitionists were willing to sign on due to their reliance on prison labor. African American inmates were leased, literally contracted out to businessmen, planters, and corporations in one of the harshest and most exploitative labor systems known in American history. This is what this gentleman, Matthew Mancini, writes in his book, One Dies, Get Another Convict, Leasing in the American South. And it is truly how things played out. And so many people talked about how slavery wasn't really about blacks and whites and slaves and that it was more about business. And that's what I've actually heard people say. Now, this was years ago, and this, I think, is probably way more taboo to say, but it was someone that was very Democrat-leaning explaining to me how slavery really was. And I believe they lived in the South on top of everything else. That being said, yeah, isn't it kind of funny when stuff seems to bite you back in the butt? This is what's happening to these Democrat leaders that are doing stupid things. It's starting to bite them, and there's no one else to blame. Everyone wants to blame Trump, and that's the easy card to throw out there. It's Trump's fault. But it's like, but you just made a wrong turn going to the liquor store. How's that Trump's fault? I was thinking about him. Oh, God, whatever. All right, whatever. Pelosi is now calling Republicans domestic enemies of the state. Now, she does it loosely. It's not cool, but it's her using her tone. She's doing this to be divisive. If they say they're not divisive, it still cracks me up. She's doing this to be divisive, for sure, but also to try to get under people's skins. So relax, take a deep breath before I read this quote to you. I'd play it, but I can't stand her, and it takes literally 3 times longer for her to say it than me even yammering on. So the quote goes, "We take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, and sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system, and honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue with their allies in the Congress of the United States. But again, let's just get out there and mobilize, organize, and not let the president deter anybody from voting. And again, support the postal system, which is election central." Continues on. "They're doing everything they can. Suppress the vote with your actions, scare people, intimidate by saying law enforcement will be there, diminish the role of the postal system in all of this. It's really actually shameful. Enemies of the state." Now, she's saying that Trump is trying to go after the Postal Service because that's the only way to make this voting thing happen. There's a lot of evidence that's coming out that this insane flood and this quick amount and just nationally obviously is not going to work. Pelosi needs this to happen to make her plan happen. We're reasonably sure there's a backup plan that's already in place. Patents have been filed. We've talked about this a bunch. I mentioned patents have been filed over a year ago, back in 2019, for the Postal Service to have a blockchain. Then in February of this year, they did their final patent with it, which implies that the blockchain stuff's all nailed out. So this code's been in the background, just brewing up and probably being hardened and tested all along the way. And another great thing about a blockchain voting system online is it would allow you to put in some data points that would suggest that you are who you say you are. And that is a very important thing when it comes to the vote as well. Maybe kind of sort of a digital voter ID. We'll see. And again, one thing that needs to be brought up, and this was someone's on their Instagram or something like that, but it caught, they recently installed cameras on their property because they keep putting Trump signs out on their property and people steal them. So they finally got surveillance, and finally they caught a U.S. postal dude stealing their signs. So these are the people that we're supposed to be able to trust, right? To protect our vote, even when, I don't know if some of you guys have heard, but some of the envelopes in some of the cities have like a barcode, but it's got the letters written under the barcode. And there's a place in the barcode where there's an R or a D. And that R or D, guess what that stands for? So again, if the postal people have a grudge to bear, And while they're driving around on the clock wearing their badge, granted, he's not got the cool shorts on and stuff, so who knows? He might be a supervisor or whatever. But he's out there stealing people's signs because he so badly hates Trump. This is illegal. This isn't cool. And this is really funny how the people on the left just cannot handle having a different opinion. Really, when you look at something, if one person goes into a tantrum because they can't have their way, and the other person's like, no, we can meet in the middle, but no, I'm not going to totally let you just have your way. I don't care if you want to yell and cry. That's fine. Do it. Again, we're dealing with babies. So we'll see how that starts to play out too. And I'm sure maybe charges will be pressed. I mean, you can probably tell who he is. So we'll see how that plays out. Something that's kind of funny. Again, everything's funny to me, right? It's just a joke in life. Seattle rioters reportedly tried to seal police precinct door before they allegedly lit a fire. Now, again, funny in that whole, it's okay to let people just be violent criminals inside our cities. Chaz, Chop, whatever the hell it was a bad idea, but they felt like it was fine. So what happened is these dudes literally tried to cement a door closed, and then they tried to start a fire outside of it. They literally tried to seal these cops inside the building, and then tried to light fire to the building, which does imply that they're trying to hurt specifically police officers. That's where you start getting into some very dangerous territories. That's like horrible when that type of stuff happens. So again, we've got to start looking. These people can very quickly become domestic terrorists by doing domestic terror like this. And specifically going after police officers is one of those things that gets you labeled as such. And I promise once that happens, I think things get kicked up to a different notch, and literally people are going to start to get pulled off the streets in a lot of places. There's not that many of these guys that are that organized. Most of these people are followers. It's the leaders that you got to take out, and then the followers don't know what to do. It's a pretty good way to put a stop to it. But again, this is what's still going on in Seattle. We've still got people attacking in Seattle like that's somehow okay. And the big story, and this is horrible. And again, I'm not showing the video of it because it's horrific. And it literally shows a dude running down the street with a rifle. And I guess he's one of these Boogaloo Boy militias. I'm not even sure where that name came from, so let's leave that alone for now. But he's running down, and he supposedly slips and falls. You kind of see him fall from the video, and this BG guy is running down filming it. And as he falls down, a guy goes after him. He's one of the dudes that's armed, and there is pictures of him floating around with a weapon in his hand as well. And he's the one that got shot in the arm, and it's supposedly gory. I didn't see it, but I see a blurry view of it, and it's horrific. So again, this guy falls down. He gets attacked by people while he's on the ground. He literally takes his rifle and he shot, I think, 4 shots, 3 of them connected. And the one guy that got shot in the arm, you hear him running down the road yelling, medic, 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 again implying that there is organization around this insurgency that's happening. And he was running for his medics. So things are happening. Apparently, some militia, which implies to me that some right-wing group is taking things somewhat into their own hands. But what's interesting is after he performed this act, he literally went down and surrendered to the police, which when you follow this video to its conclusion, there's police driving by, and they don't seem too concerned about this dude like holding his rifle, putting his hands up. So hard to say what's going on there. That looked a little freaky to me. And I heard or read that there's another video somewhere where he actually did get arrested. I didn't watch it because I don't care. But so this is getting bad. We're getting others involved. It's escalating for sure. And we're still, I think, waiting for something to quell this violence going on out there. So again, this Brandon Guttenschwager, that's the BG guy. So he's put this video out. You want to check it out, find his tweet, and you can pause here and figure out how to find it. So again, after everything's been said and done, the police confirmed 2 are dead. 1 was seriously injured. And the one they say seriously injured, and I maybe that was where the 4th shot went, because it does look like it hit him. It looked like he got hit in the arm and then also supposedly in the gut. So that one's bad. And this guy took a headshot down here. I mean, just, again, horrific stuff that's happening. And this is not good at all. It's not good at all. So this is what is playing out. This needs to stop. The people on the left, the Democrats, everybody, whatever, need to come out and start to denounce this kind of violence, start to say this isn't okay, and put a stop to it. And again, we need this to stop. We need peace in our streets, and there's no reason to continue to go with this. And I don't see any new posts while we were doing the show, so everything looks good. If you guys can support me, please donate below if you can. If not, like, subscribe, and share the videos. Makes a big difference in the big picture. Appreciate all you guys. Love you all. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.